So today we're going to talk about a book I recently read called How to Be an Anti-Racist. There's just so many things in this book that I think are important. I'm not going to talk about it all, obviously, but just some key points that I thought were really important, and hopefully it will get you interested in reading this book or something like it. So first off, it was really interesting to me how the amazing author Ibram, he talks about, as a young Black man growing up in New York City, how due to various factors in his life, like the school system he was in that was very white-centric and still is to this day, and really looked down upon young African Americans as not having the aptitude to succeed academically. So it was just really interesting to have him talk about his youth and, just the adults in his life really having an effect on his worldview, as obviously adults affect so many children's worldviews, because that's how we learn when we're young, especially back in the day when the author was growing up. He obviously didn't have access to the internet because it was the 80s and the 90s. So back then we all had to really trust the adults around us to teach us what we needed to know. And in the author's case, this really led him to be a racist against Black people, a racist against white people when he started going to university specifically. It was just really interesting to hear him talk about his journey to becoming an anti-racist as a young Black man in America. He really delved deep, I felt, into his belief systems and how that changed over the years as he grew into an adult and really matured in his knowledge of society. And he also does a really great job of marrying his own personal journey with learning about his own racism as a young Black man growing up in New York City, and how that transferred to his college days of also not really understanding feminism or queerness, and how, we have the luxury at any age really to meet different types of people, and especially now with the internet, to get amazing world views of how different people are living and how different people are experiencing this life that is so different to ours. Like, obviously me as a cis white woman, that comes with a lot of fucking privilege. The author does a really great job of marrying his personal experience with the history of racism, really, and how those beliefs were born from the slave trade, and how racism was created by white people to justify the slave trade. It's also interesting in the book to hear a more contemporary look at being a racist in New York in the 80s and 90s, how he really internalized the beliefs about Black youth and him as a Black man, like what that meant for his future, and how he saw the other Black men or boys around him, and how that really changed when he met different types of people and actually went to university to study Black studies as a young man. And it's such a powerful journey that he talks about, and it's also such a powerful fucking message that we can unlearn these things that we were taught. We can deal with our biases that the adults or society taught us when we were growing up. especially, you know, as things have changed. Like, it's 2021 now. We can fucking do better. And I would like to believe that the kids these days are growing up not being colorblind like I was taught as a kid, because that ain't good too either. You know, we need to see these differences. We need to talk about these differences and these different experiences that people have because of the color of their skin. You know, it's so important to not ignore what so many BIPOC people go through on a daily basis, and how just because of one outwardly feature, they're defined as this one thing, as a group. Thanks, racism. You know, and this book is such a great catalyst in telling one human story about his journey with racism. And I think we can all really learn a lot from him. He's such a brilliant fucking man. And, you know, he went through a lot, and he's really done a great job of sharing a part of himself with the world. And he also does a great job fighting for Black Lives Matter and all the injustice that's happening in the world for BIPOC individuals. Because without being outspoken and really talking about these issues, nothing's going to change. And, you know, it's no longer okay to sit by and not say anything. We all need to do a better job of being vocal, like I talked about in my Black History Month video. We just need to do better. And, you know, this was one book on my very long list of ways of really getting to understand the Black experience. Because again, me as a white cis woman, I'm never going to experience that personally. And this is the best I can do in trying to understand how, or I guess what other people go through on a daily basis, and what I can do as an ally to help change and help make this world better, so everyone is treated on the basis of individuality, as opposed to being lumped into a group based on these frankly made up racial ideas, really just perpetrated by the fact that the educational system is very white centric. And, you know, not everyone learns the fucking same. And a lot of kids fall behind because they're being taught in ways that don't speak to their learning styles. And, you know, that's something we really have to fucking think about. You know, everyone has different strengths. And, you know, it's great to see people learn to embrace those strengths no matter what they fucking are. Ibram obviously found his strength in Black studies, and really being a fabulous writer and a professor. And he's really doing a great job of teaching the current generation and, you know, people who are around his age how to be better people. And thankfully he has shared his story with the world, and hopefully he will continue to be such a beautiful shining light in the fight to having an equal system where policies are put in place that don't benefit one group of people and suppress others. So hopefully this has brought you some insight. Maybe you want to read his book or listen to it as an audiobook as I did. It was read by the author, and you know, having him read his words was such a beautiful, intimate experience. I love audiobooks for that reason, that authors can tell me their stories. And it just feels so much more real. And it literally puts their words in your ear, in their voice. So I highly recommend Ibram's How to Be an Anti-Racist. He also has a bunch of other books, and because of him, I will also be delving into various other Black studies, because I just think it's really important to understand the history of Black people in America and Canada to understand this collective trauma that Black people have endured, and it's still obviously going through at this moment in history. We got a lot of work to do, but I need to believe that society's finally ready to fucking change and do the right thing here, where we respect each other and we love each other for who we are as individuals. And again, we get rid of this colorblindness bullshit that we've all been taught, because that's not doing anything. It's actually doing more harm than good. We need to recognize that not everyone in this world is treated the same, and white privilege is a thing. And what that means, like the detrimental means that puts on so many people, nothing's gonna change. So it's time for us all to be anti-racists and change this fucking world for the better finally. And remember, it's all about being a better human to other humans. And I love you.